Hello everyone, Discordtelligent here. Today I'm going to go over a video by Tyler Preston. And the reason I'm going over this video is because I think there is a decent amount of misrepresentation of veganism and misinformation. Now, I do actually agree with their points regarding the extreme sort of elements of veganism, like the feminists trying to merge veganism and feminism and all that shit. But there's some points that I think they got completely wrong, and that's sort of what I want to cover. Less the ethical arguments and more just pure fact-based stuff. But I will get into the ethics a little bit. So let's get into the video.
So I argue with vegans like almost once every other day, and it's sometimes not my fault, but I do a lot of farm work. So I have animals that, according to vegans, I exploit. But if I didn't have these farm animals, I would not have things to eat, and I would have to go to industrial farms to get my, not know where these chickens come from and get their eggs and meat.
Well, no, their thing though, because I was a vegan for like, I'd say 6 months, 7 months. And so I was in that world. I know all their arguments.
I don't think Andy does know all of our arguments. I don't think he even knows most of them, even the basic ones, as you're going to see throughout this video.
They would say, well, you don't have to. You could eat fucking, the broccoli, and you get your B12 supplements. And
while they didn't really touch on it that much, I do want to go over B12 just so it doesn't come up. So B12 is a vitamin, obviously. It's called cobalamin, actually, and it is produced only by bacteria. It is not produced by animals. And the places these bacteria are commonly found is in your colon, in your gut, in topsoil, and in unfiltered water. And while it is found in our gut, we don't get enough just from our gut. We need to get it from external sources, and obviously we're not going to eat our own shit or drink unfiltered water or eat topsoil. So that is why it is pretty difficult for us to get B12, and the only reason you're able to get it from animals is because a lot of them are supplemented with B12. And a lot of people that argue against this seem to kind of hint at, they think that animal products are the sole source of B12, and obviously they're not. And you don't even actually need to take a B12 supplement, because nowadays a lot of foods are just fortified with B12. I know some vegan sources are, like some brands of tofu, and I think some brands of nutritional yeast and stuff like that. So you don't actually have to take a multivitamin as long as you make sure you're getting your B12 from fortified foods.
Why would you want to exploit the animal? I'll play devil's advocate in this in this one, because I know all their arguments.
Weren't you a friend with one of those vegans? I forgot that name. That one girl who compared eating meat to slavery or something.
Sorsa Morava.
What?
She says so. Or here was my thing. When I wasn't vegan, and her and I had a debate after I made a video about her. Her thing was it was about the slavery, saying slavery is the same as eating animals. So I was bringing up the whole thing where animals that are treated well, like Whole Foods animals, there's a step system to make sure that they're treated well. And she's like, how hard do you like your slaves whipped? I'm like, shut the fuck up. How hard do you like your slaves whipped? As in, oh yeah, so you're not gonna have the ones that are whipped the most and the hardest, but if they're whipped less, yeah, that's fine, because they weren't treated as bad.
I personally don't really like the ethical arguments, which is why I'm not really going to touch on them a whole lot. But I do think when they are used in conjunction with the health and environmental arguments, it's actually it's actually a very convincing argument. The only ethical argument I really like using is just asking the simple question that if it's possible to live a completely healthy life without the use of animal products, why would you exploit animals at all? What would be the purpose of that? I don't think there would be a purpose, and I think that since we can, and I think it's been pretty well proven by countless examples of people that have lived almost completely full lives on a vegan diet, that it is pointless to exploit animals at this point. Now, I do want to make a slight caveat to the statement, and that being that I'm not one of those hardline vegans that believes in just blanket no animal products. I do think there are very reasonable cases to use animal products, and obviously in life-saving medications and stuff like that, I think that is a completely reasonable reason to use animal products. But other than that example, I can't honestly think of any others.
See, it's just so insulting. I mean, it's so insulting. I take beautiful care of my animals, like, you know, and Sorsha would be the kind of person who would stand on the other side of the street while I have my shotgun in my hand, waiting for her to come on my lawn because she wants to talk about how, you know, how if you eat anything, like the main goal of vegans, you know, that I found, especially with PETA, is that they would rather animals not be in the hands of people whatsoever. They will take your dog out of your front lawn or your backyard and kill them because they don't believe that you should have the right to have a pet, period. And so, you know,
that is insanity.
I personally fucking despise PETA. I think they're pretty awful and a very bad representation of vegans. And, you know, I think most reasonable vegans also think that. But I do know that they do kill the animals that they rescue from the streets and stuff, which is, you know, obviously a terrible thing, and that should be called out, which I am doing.
Insanity. They actually believe that.
Yeah, like there was like an article that had that person just kill the dog and just kill them. It's just so disgusting, really.
Yeah.
Well, dogs like my roommate brings his girlfriend's dog over sometimes. It's the happiest dog. It gets sad when you aren't around it. It starts whining, like it loves, you know, it's a social creature, right? You can't say, well, yeah, like that dog, like out in the wild, would be demolished. Like, sorry about that. One coyote versus that dog, it's done.
Yeah.
We're protecting this piece of like tiny piece of shit dog.
A fucking badger would kill it probably.
Yeah, exactly. A fucking skunk. They have skunks in their area, raccoons and shit.
Pets is sometimes disputed within the vegan community. Personally, I have zero problems with people owning pets. The only things I kind of have a problem with are things like maybe tarantulas and fish and reptiles and stuff like that, because you keep them caged up. But things like cats, dogs, and other pets like that, I think it's completely reasonable to have a pet like that. And I think that there's no exploitation or anything like that involved with having a pet like that. Some vegans do argue that it is a form of exploitation, which I don't agree with. They think that you are exploiting it for, I guess, emotional gratification or pleasure or something like that. And while that is true, it is also, I think, a two-way street with the pet. The pet also gets that from you. So that's why I think owning certain pets is completely reasonable.
Yeah, like not to mention, like I remember reading that I think PETA actually kills at least 95% of their animals that they actually try to save.
Are you what?
Yeah, PETA is a pretty shit organization.
The cats have that hunting like thing. They want to hunt when they see
Oh,
small
yeah.
creatures. They want to kill it. Exactly, and like cats have that. We have that too with fucking steaks and shit and bacon.
Craving certain foods and having the sudden urge to kill an animal grip you are two completely different things.
Well, vegans don't believe that. Like okay, this is the worst argument that I've ever gotten from vegans. Vegans actually believe there's actual like rumor. I don't know who taught them this stupid thing, but they actually believe that humans are not omnivores, that they're herbivores. And
Oh yeah, I remember hearing that before.
Yeah,
they tell me this every single time.
Humans are indeed omnivores. There's a reason why some vegans say we're herbivores, however. Let's look at the definition of omnivore. And by looking at this definition, I think you'll begin to understand why some vegans argue in that way. Omnivore is a consumption classification for animals that have the capability to obtain energy and nutrients from materials originating from plant and animal origins. Now, the key takeaway from this definition is the capability to obtain energy and nutrients. That has no bearing on whether it is healthy for us or anything. All that is saying is that we have the ability to process those nutrients from animal products. That has no bearing on whether it is healthy for us or if that is what we should be eating. And that is the perspective that many vegans, myself included, argue from. That it is not healthy and it is in many ways counterproductive to your health.
And then you know what they do? They give me a picture of a chimpanzee, which is an omnivore, and say,
Are you being serious?
I'm completely 100% serious.
Oh my gosh.
They give me a picture of a chimpanzee, gorillas, and then say these things have big teeth too, but they don't eat meat. And I say, have you ever? Chimpanzees eat meat. Gorillas will eat meat if they have to. They'll do it. They're usually frugivores. They usually like fruit. But chimpanzees, what most people would consider, kind of your closest ancestor, I guess, they're omnivores,
Chimpanzees are indeed also omnivores, just like we are. But how much of their diet actually consists of animal products? That's the real question here. And since they're our closest ancestor, that has a very important meaning to us and what we should be looking to eat also. So we're going to look at a Scientific American article on the diets of chimpanzees. And the key takeaway from this article is bullet point number 4. 3% of the average chimp diet comes from meat. On average, 9 days a year are meat days for chimps, but because chimps don't share perfectly, most chimps probably get less than this. Bonobos appear to even eat less meat than chimps, and actually, bonobos are our closest ancestors. They're even closer to us than chimpanzees. And again, the reason vegans argue this, that we're herbivores, is simply just the fact that we might as well be herbivores because our closest relatives consume basically almost completely vegan diet, and they can by far definitely survive without meat, and they do.
And I'm a Christian saying that. So
and also like the term herbivore is the impression of an animal that only eats plants and fruits and stuff, and doesn't prefer to eat meat and survives off that stuff. When I don't want to die and I eat steak, I don't die still.
That does not prove anything. You could eat almost anything and not die. That makes no sense at all.
That proves I'm not a fucking herbivore.
Right, exactly.
If you eat something and you survive.
You can survive off of almost anything. If you wanted to, you could be on a Frosted Flakes diet and not die. The real question is, I think, what is healthiest for us? And I don't think animal products fall into the category of healthy.
Like our whole human civilization was built upon hunting. And then,
Yeah.
and then because protein is what keeps people sustained longer.
There is no singular nutrient that's going to keep you sustained longer than any other nutrient.
If you have like a handful of carrots or a steak, that steak will push you further than those 5 carrots.
You're comparing apples to oranges.
Well, I gave a vegan a scientific journal on why our brains are as big as they are, and it's because of our evolution from going from specifically plants to cooking and eating meat. And you know what they called it? They called it meat industry propaganda. I thought this is from Science, like Science Daily or something.
Incorrect. Cooking was the reason we were able to grow larger brains over time, but it wasn't meat that we were cooking. It was starchy foods like root vegetables. Now I'm going to plug a video made by Mike the Vegan. He's a fantastic channel, and he doesn't go over any of the bullshit ethical arguments or, show shocking images to try and shock you into veganism. But I will sum up the video so you don't need to go and watch it if you don't want to. Our brains run off of glucose, and the only way you can get glucose from meat is converting fatty acids to glucose, and you lose about 50% of the energy through that process. Humans cooking starchy root vegetables made it much easier to consume these foods, thus increasing the amount of glucose that it can intake, which in turn grew our brains.
They call it meat industry
propaganda. Did you happen to see the Joe Rogan video that went pretty viral? And it's him and some nutritionist talking about, like this exact subject, and they're obviously against veganism. And Vegan Gains just refuted it. So I watched the original video a few weeks ago, and I was like, oh,
that man is crazy.
Yeah, and then he is nuts. He's like I have a friend who actually met him before, and he's as weird as he is in his videos in real life, apparently.
You know what's crazy is he doesn't believe people should eat meat, but he also believes that he was like chosen by the aliens to
What?
I do agree, Vegan Gains is pretty fucking crazy, but if you look at his more recent videos, actually, he's calmed down a lot, and that's probably because he finally got a girlfriend or fiance or whatever she is. And I have seen both Joe Rogan's podcast with Chris Kresser and the Vegan Gains response video to that, and I think he did a pretty good job of responding to that. I'm just going to say that because y'all didn't really refute any of the points he brought up in that video. So,
did you hear about that? Like, I don't know if you guys know too much about him, but he made a video once where he was talking about a video he had filmed that he wasn't allowed to release. He's like, hey guys, I wanted to film this video. My grandpa had a heart attack. So his grandpa was having a heart attack. Yeah, he filmed his grandpa having a heart attack.
Yeah, Vegan Gains, I think, has done a bit of damage to the image in people's mind when they think of vegans.
But it's like you're so serious about, trying to. Oh, there's also a petition going around in the UK to ban the sale of meat, to ban slaughtering animals, and to ban all. It's just a basic ban on meat. You're not allowed to.
When you just hear these fucking retarded petitions and you go, all right, well, that's going to go nowhere. Like, this is a waste of internet bandwidth.
Well, I hope it goes nowhere. It has almost 1,000 signatures.
No, hang on. You honestly, like, you can't expect everyone who doesn't eat meat, who eats meat, when they, like, if this law ever passed, everyone would just be like, no. We're gonna keep eating meat. Like, what are you gonna do about it? Like,
right?
You can't. It's like trying to ban drinking or smoking cigarettes right now.
I actually agree with Andy on this point. If meat were to suddenly be banned tomorrow, I think it'd be very bad. There would definitely be a black market created for meat due to this, which would be a very bizarre world to live in. I personally think a better way to approach something like this is to have honest conversations about it, not chocked full of emotions. Having that honest conversation about animal agriculture and how it affects us and the world around us, and to educate people about what a healthy diet really is. I think that is a much better way to approach getting animal agriculture out of society.
They treat it like it's a religion.
There we go.
It is.
Yeah, they treat it like it's a cult.
Some definitely do. But you also can't deny that this is an element that permeates any ideology and any movement. There are always going to be people that take shit too far.
Fucking cult. When I was in it, I was vegan and I liked it for a few months, and then like the last few months were horrible, so I stopped because I was like weakening up. Like it was bad. It was bad. My hair started falling out. Like it was fucking shitty. And believe me, I was doing all the fucking proper ways that they say. I had those vegans helping me online and telling me what to buy. I was doing it all. I was washing my hair's falling out. I'm working out at the gym and I'm getting weaker. Like I'm like, I should. And I was taking protein, vegan protein shakes and everything, and eating a lot and trying my best.
I think you were doing something wrong. And if I had to guess, I'd say you weren't actually tracking what you were eating, which is why I would recommend a website like Chronometer. And this is not just to vegans, this is really to anyone, everyone. It helps you track what nutrients you're getting so that you can ensure that you aren't becoming deficient in any of those.
Which, by the way, when you eat vegan, all that stuff, it's not like meat and stuff, it backs up a little bit.
That is not healthy. Daily bowel movements, however, are.
What made you turn vegan? I know some people do it for the environment, some people do it for animals or their health. So what made you turn vegan?
Well, like I don't know if you know my channel, but I like to debate and debunk people, and that's what I do, right? And I usually I'll stick to certain topics and then switch it up for a bit, and I eventually came to this, right? And someone did a video on me, a vegan revolution. All right, so we did a debate, and I actually released it on my channel. It's 3 hours long, and the entire 3 hours, it starts with me questioning it and then him giving me all these facts and stuff, and pretty much he was debunking me pretty horrifically. Like I had no answers. I didn't do research on the subject before I got into it. So he destroyed me. He demolished me. So I also said, if you win the debate, I will try it out. I'll do it. So he beat me horrifically, and then that night I started like immediately that night. But after the first few months, after month 3, the cravings hit, depression hit. My hair started falling out. So I tried changing it up and making it better. It got worse and worse. So I just did it I got debunked. So the only way to debunk him back would be to do it. And I did it 100%. I didn't cheat at all. Did not cheat at all. And so I now feel like I won that debate in debunking because it was horrific.
That is not the way you debunk someone, especially since I have no idea what you were eating and the likelihood of you not tracking what you ate. I feel like this is a very bad way to get into veganism just because you lost an argument to someone else, and going in with the intention of debunking it is also just really a really bad way, because you could just go into something, fail, and just I started losing hair, I'm just going to give up now, instead of looking at what possibly I could have been missing in my diet. But instead it seems like to me, from what you told us, that you just immediately gave up when you started seeing negative effects instead of looking around to see what you were missing.
You know, the whole joke, when you're vegan, you have to tell everybody. It's oh, how do you know if someone's vegan? Again, like, don't worry, they'll tell you or whatever, right?
I actually actively avoid bringing up the fact that I'm vegan. Again, everyone is different. It's sort of comparable to some of the people that make a big deal out of the fact that they vape. In the end, nobody fucking cares.
And
Right.
so I would tell people, and then a few people were like, "Oh, I tried it. It's horrible." And I'm like, "Oh, I like it." And like I heard more and more people who tried it, and then either switched back to vegetarianism or just meat eater, right?
Yeah, I heard that majority vegans switch back.
A significant portion of vegans actually do switch back to a regular diet, but there could be a multitude of factors contributing to this, not just because they see that they think that the diet is insufficient. It could be that it is such a pain in the ass socially when you go out with friends to eat that aren't vegan. There's social pressures from family, friends, everyone around you that has a problem with that diet, and just that can be very hard on some people.
Yeah, it's not
Because
sustainable.
bacon, lettuce. I'm sorry. I'm just curious, like with the black community, knowing how much we love bacon and fucking soul food, how is this shit is gonna actually catch on? It is beyond me.
I mean, it caught on with me, but I'm only half black, so I'm not sure if I count or not. So, yeah. In conclusion, I want to say that I don't want to push or even really advocate so much for veganism. I am mainly making this video to dispel some of the, I think, the myths that Tyler Preston and the people on this live stream put out. And if they ever want to have me on, I am more than willing to come on and state my opinion and see what they have to say in response. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. This is my first video, and I really didn't want to make it on veganism, but I guess this opportunity just presented itself, and I really felt like this needed to be covered, just because I've seen other skeptic channels also make videos on veganism, and this one was the one I had the most issues with, because they actually really kind of talked about veganism more than they did any other ones. But yeah, so hopefully in the future I won't be making any more videos on veganism, but we'll see. I know definitely the next video is not going to be covering that. So anyways, again, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more. See ya.